Before Jesus preached a single word, before he performed a single miracle, God had already sent someone to prepare the way, and that someone was his cousin. This is the story of John the Baptist, the last prophet, the voice in the wilderness, the man who trusted God with everything. In the hills of Judea, there lived a priest named Zechariah. He was a good man, a faithful man. His wife Elizabeth was just like him, but they carried a quiet sorrow. They had no children, and after years of waiting and praying and hoping, it seemed like it would never happen. Have you ever waited for something so long that you started to wonder if God forgot about you? Zechariah and Elizabeth knew that feeling, but they never stopped trusting. They never stopped praying, because deep in their hearts, they knew God's promises never fail. One ordinary day became the most extraordinary day of Zechariah's life. He was chosen to burn incense inside the temple, a rare honor, a sacred moment. The smoke rose like prayers to heaven. The golden walls glowed in the lamplight. And then, an angel appeared. Zechariah was terrified, but the angel spoke with calm authority. "Do not be afraid, Zechariah. Your prayer has been heard. Your wife Elizabeth will bear you a son, and you shall call his name John." Zechariah couldn't believe it. He and Elizabeth were too old. It was impossible, and because he doubted, he left the temple unable to speak. But God's plan doesn't stop just because we struggle to believe. Elizabeth conceived. The impossible had happened. When the baby was born, neighbors and relatives came from all around, celebrating this miracle child. Everyone assumed the baby would be named Zechariah, after his father, of course. That's just what people did. But Elizabeth said firmly, "No, his name is John." The crowd was confused. Nobody in the family had that name. So they turned to Zechariah. Still unable to speak, he asked for a writing tablet. His weathered hands carefully wrote 4 words. "His name is John." And in that very moment, his voice came back. His first words in months were praise to God. The whole village was filled with awe, and they all whispered the same question. What then will this child become? John grew up. But he didn't grow up in a comfortable city. He grew up in the wilderness. Rough camel hair for clothing, a leather belt around his waist, wild honey and locusts for food. He had nothing the world calls important. No wealth, no status, no palace. But he had something far greater. He had God. And when God called him, John walked out of that desert with a message that shook an entire nation. Repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. People came from everywhere: soldiers, tax collectors, Pharisees, farmers, rich and poor, young and old, all walking toward the Jordan River to hear this man speak. And John was always clear about one thing. "After me comes one who is mightier than I, whose sandals I am not worthy to carry." He never talked about himself. Every word he spoke pointed to Jesus. One day, among the crowds, John saw someone approaching. He recognized him immediately, not just as a cousin, but as the one he had been preparing for his entire life. Jesus asked John to baptize him, and John, with trembling reverence, said, "I need to be baptized by you, and you come to me?" But Jesus answered gently, and John obeyed. He led his cousin into the waters of the Jordan. And as Jesus came up from the water, the heavens opened. The Spirit of God descended like a dove and rested upon him, and a voice from heaven said, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased." Matthew 3:17. Everything John had lived for, every year in the desert, every word he had preached, had led to this one sacred moment: God's promise fulfilled. John was fearless, so fearless that he told a king the truth to his face. King Herod was doing something deeply wrong, and John said so, publicly, without fear. It cost him everything. He was thrown in prison. Imagine John in that dark cell. No river, no crowds, no open sky, just silence and stone walls. From prison, he sent his disciples to ask Jesus, "Are you the one who is to come, or shall we look for another?" And Jesus answered him, reminding him of every miracle, every healing, every life being transformed, as if to say, "You trusted right, John. You trusted right." John died in that prison, but he died in peace, because he died trusting God. John the Baptist gives us 3 gifts for our lives today. 1. God hears every prayer. Zechariah and Elizabeth waited a lifetime, but God never forgot them. If you're waiting for something right now, don't give up. God's timing is always perfect. 2. You can trust God anywhere. John trusted him in the desert. John trusted him in prison. Wherever you are right now, God is there too. 3. The greatest thing you can do with your life is point others to Jesus, just like John did. Not with words alone, but with the way you live. John the Baptist lived his entire life with one certainty: God keeps his promises. He didn't need to see the end of the story to trust. He just needed to know the heart of God. And you and I, we already know how the story ends. Jesus came, Jesus died, Jesus rose. So how much more can we trust? If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to meet more heroes of faith, just like John. See you in the next one.